Hey there, people. Welcome back to another episode of the Female Empowered Podcast. I'm your host, Christa Gurka, and I'm back today with live episodes. So, real time recording. And if you are watching me on YouTube, yes, I'm sitting in a bathrobe. Why? Because I just dropped my kids off at college and I'm mourning the loss of people in my house. But, anyways, it's not really morning. I just have the ability not to have to get up early in the morning and be anywhere specific. So I decided I'm filming these in my bathrobe. And so that's how it is. That's how it's going to be for at least a week or so until I figure out what I'm going to do with my time, which is probably going to be spending a lot of it with my dog, Duncan. So, anyways, enough about me. Nobody wants to hear about that. But what I am going to talk about today is how you can prepare your business, your studio for the fall and the end of the year, because it's going to be here before you know it. I mean, at the time this podcast airs, we're at the end of August, and now we'll be September. We'll be planning for Q4, and then it'll be Halloween, Thanksgiving, and then boom, bang, bomb, end of the year. So I really want to talk about what we can do now as we're coming out of summer, which is always a crazy kind of disjointing time for people, especially if you're getting kids back to school, or like me, who just shipped their kids off to college, or like some parents who are starting kindergarten for the first time, or you're just like people are coming back from summer vacations and all of that stuff. It almost feels like New Year. So sometimes people have a hard time coming out of the chaos that is summer. So what we're going to do today is I'm really going to talk about how we can make fall a critical time for us to make key business decisions. So we're not waiting to the last minute and we can coast through the end of the year, meaning we're not planning stuff December 1st. All right. So the first thing I want to talk about is looking at the schedule and making staff adjustments as needed. So why would we do that now? Well, fall is a great time to reassess what kind of staffing needs we have. So in Pilates in the Grove's case, we get very busy like end of October because we do get a ton of snowbirds that come down to South Florida for the winter. And when they get here, it really depends on how the weather is like in the north. So we might see a Pilates studio might see an influx of clients returning from summer vacation. If you're a physical therapy clinic, you might see an influx of clients because people like doctors are back doing surgeries, people are not traveling anymore, people are trying to use their insurance to have surgeries prior to the end of the year. If you're a yoga studio, same thing, school's back in session. So people are now coming back, getting back on their regular schedules. So one of the things we love to do is start the fall with performance reviews. And I recommend people often do quarterly reviews. So usually at the end of September, in the middle to end of September, we start doing our quarterly reviews so that we talk to our team about their performance over the last quarter and what we're looking for and what our expectations are for the last quarter of the year. So the other thing is, if you know that you get seasonally high, like we do in South Florida, there may be an opportunity for you to hire seasonal staff. Now, I always used to look at this as, do we hire more instructors seasonally or not seasonally? But one time somebody recommended to me, and I never thought of it this way, which I think is really genius. What about support staff? So maybe you hire an intern for the busy times of the year. That's going to be like a 3-month internship, or maybe you do hire an employee or a contractor because it's going to be part-time work for 3 to 6 months because that is the busiest time of year. There are people out there that are looking for seasonal work sometimes, or interns that need some hours for graduation, or they're trying to learn about the business, and maybe you just need like an extra 10 hours a week during busy times of the year. So it might be a great time to look at your staffing and can you implement or can you bring on a part-time seasonal position, whether that be an aide, a an instructor, an independent contractor, or a support staff, front desk, administrators, etc. And then it's also really, really good to start looking at your staff retention strategies. How are you retaining your key staff? I'm a big, big proponent in looking into longevity for this, for people that are fitting and aligning with your mission, vision, and values. And how can you maybe start to look at, if you're going to do some end of the year bonuses, if you're going to start to look at, we don't only want to look at client retention strategies, we really want to look at our employee and our team retention strategies. Because as small businesses, our team, they're the lifeblood of our business. Okay. So those are going to be some things that I would encourage you to look at or start to plan for if you are going to do bonuses, if you are going to do performance reviews. Start planning those now for the end of the third quarter. And also, what are you going to do into the fourth quarter? Okay. So staffing is the first thing I would look to evaluate, and how are you going to adjust going into the fall? All right. The second thing, how maybe it's time to look at your pricing structure. Again, a lot of people are like, well, why now? Well, maybe it is a good time to reflect on, is your current pricing strategy meeting your goals? Whether those goals are be for growth, whether those goals are going to be for profitability, whatever that is, are they meeting those goals? You don't have to wait to the beginning of the year to do this. You can do a pricing audit now to make sure that the pricing structure is either set up for profitability now, or how can you look to optimize it for the following year? All right. So I recommend reviewing your memberships, reviewing your class packages, reviewing your drop-in rates. Okay. Reviewing the benefits and the value add to your memberships. What kind of things are you including? Do you allow rollovers? Do you allow people with memberships to get a discounted drop-in rate if they want to go over their allotted amount of classes? So maybe they get 4 sessions a month. What if they want to do 5, especially if there's 5 weeks in that month? Do they get a discounted drop-in rate? At Pilates in the Grove, they do. So we have 4, 8, 13, and 20 classes per month memberships. The higher the tiered membership, the more benefits they get. So if you're in 13 or 20 classes per month, you get a significantly decreased, I think it's like almost 30% decreased drop-in rate. If you're on the lower tiered membership, you get a smaller decrease in the drop-in rate. We do not allow rollovers. There are other things. Do you have an on-demand platform that you can give members access to for free? Do you have something where they can bring a guest once a quarter, once a month, depending on your studio structure? I don't always recommend this for Pilates because we definitely have a limited amount of reformers. But if you're a yoga studio and you can always kind of slot one more person in there, telling them they can bring a friend once a month is like a great incentive. And it also is kind of free marketing for you as a business. Okay. Are you looking at inflation? How much is your rent going to go up the next year? And do you need to raise your prices accordingly? What about your taxes? What about all this other stuff? Okay. So you want to know how inflation is affecting your market and other local marketing shifts. You can consider starting tiered pricing or promotions to attract a different segment of your audience. And so basically what tiered pricing is like the memberships like that I talked about. So you can have 4 classes per month, 8 classes per month, or a basic membership, a standard, and then a premium membership. So those are all kind of things that you can do. And the more classes, the more private sessions they buy into, then they get access to exclusive workshops or something to that effect. I know that some studios give preferential scheduling times to people that have the highest tiered membership. So for example, if you only release your schedule, and I know some studios do this, I know the gym that I go to, Lifetime, you can only register for classes like 10 to 14 days in advance. So if that's, maybe you only release your schedule quarterly. So maybe people that are on a platinum membership or the highest tiered memberships get 48 hours in advance to schedule their classes before it goes open to the rest of the members. Okay, so these are reasons why people buy in. It's the reason people pay for Prime. It's the reason I pay for a Platinum American Express, because I get certain benefits like access to the lounge. I travel a lot. Also, I get 2 check bags for free. There's things that that are valuable to me. And if you find those things that are valuable to your clients, you can add them as value adds to certain tiered memberships. Okay. So maybe instead of going higher in premium, maybe you start to attract budget conscious consumers. So that's what we did when we added a 4-class a month membership. We did not have that before. We had 8, 13, 20. Okay. And instead of going higher, what we did was we actually went lower. We instituted a 4-class per month membership for those people that wanted to have some sort of lower barrier to entry. So instead of buying a 10-class card that's like $375, they could buy 4 classes per month for $129. Okay, especially if they only wanted to come once a week. So there's always ways that you can adjust your pricing to meet your customers' demands. All right. But I really, really, really encourage you to do this objectively, not by feelings. I say this all the time. Feelings are not facts. Okay. So look at, in order to be able to adjust your pricing accordingly, you have to understand your metrics. You have to understand your numbers. You cannot just look at overall revenue. You have to look at your expenses, and you have to look at your margins, and you have to know what your profitability is. Okay. And then, because you could raise prices, that's not necessary. Or you could raise prices and go through all the hassle of raising prices and having those conversations. And then in the end, the price increase didn't even meet the profitability that you needed. So it's really, really, really important that you look at your numbers and you understand your numbers so that you can adjust your prices effectively. Okay. So now let's talk about what else we can do moving into the fall. So optimizing class schedules and your offerings. So we talked about optimizing your staff, making sure you have enough people on hand to meet the growing demands of increased utilization in the fall. We talked about optimizing your pricing if needed. Now we're going to talk about optimizing your schedule. So in the summer, when at least in South Florida, we're a little bit slower. So what we start to do in the summer is we look at our class utilization and we start to adjust the schedule accordingly. Sometimes adjusting the time frame because school's not in session and maybe people are going in later because they're dropping off at camps, or we take certain classes off the schedule. So when we come back into fall, which we've already actually done this, we start to analyze our class trends. We look at when people started coming back in years previous, and then we adjust our schedule accordingly. We add back in some of the classes that we took off the schedule in the summer, and we adjust the schedule time. So what you want to do is really start to analyze your attendance trends. And if you use any type of scheduling software, you should be able to do this with your software. Okay, there's reporting in there and analytics that you can look through that will use data from the past year to identify your peak times, your peak classes, your highest performing classes, and your underperforming classes. Okay. The other thing you can look at with this is your highest performing staff and your underperforming staff. So if you're doing evals and assessments, you should bring this to their attention and have a conversation about it. Okay. So maybe Pilates classes in the fall are going to start to see higher attendance rates in the mornings because people are going back to work, or right after drop off because school's back in session. Okay. And now you want to consider adjusting your class offerings or your class times. Maybe you need to add classes back into the schedule in the morning or in the evening or on the weekends. All right. Maybe you can introduce seasonal workshops or themed classes. Think things like fall challenge or fall back into your routine or fall forward, and you're getting people to come back into the studio, back into the clinic after falling off in summer. It's a great way to entice people that may have traveled in the summer or may have left or gone away or just gotten off their schedule because life. Okay. So these kind of incentives or workshops or themed challenges or classes might be really great to get people back on the schedule. Okay. What about flexible scheduling? What about discussing the importance of lunchtime classes or early classes, shorter daytime classes for people that are going back to work? What about considering lunch break express? Maybe it's a 40-minute class so people can still have time to eat and get back to the student, to get back to work. Or maybe it's a mid-afternoon class that's a little bit shorter in nature, just because people between pickup times or something to that effect. Look at your schedule. Don't just do it though without some sort of strategy around it. Look at your schedule. What is your data telling you? What are your clients telling you? And are people interested in a lunchtime express class, a 40-minute class? I got to tell you, I love a 40-minute class. I love a 45-minute class. It suits my attention span really great. It suits my schedule really, really well. So for me, I love those type of classes. I do not love 75-minute or 90-minute classes, but other people do. So you really want to look at what is your customer base telling you and what is your data telling you. So you really want to analyze those trends. Okay. So to reiterate, we talked about team, we talked about pricing, we talked about optimizing schedule. Now let's talk about client retention and re-engagement strategies. Things happen in the summer, okay? People get off their schedules, people travel, people go away for the whole summer. So how now are we going to strategically re-engage those people back into the studio or get them to come more than they were coming in the summer? Okay. How can we keep clients engaged from now through the end of the year? I'll go back to things we talked about earlier, seasonal workshops, fall challenges. And then as you get into the end of the year, what about a prep for the holiday challenge? Let's get our workouts in now. What about a challenge between Thanksgiving and Christmas and be like, we know this is the busiest time of year, but we're here to help you stay on track. What about doing some marketing strategies with local businesses that collaborate on this fall theme? Okay. Something like maybe going to a local coffee shop or bakery. Everyone's doing pumpkin spice everything, right? Maybe it's like spice up your coffee with pumpkin, spice up your fitness with Pilates. Okay. Something to that effect. Or, I don't know, like just add a little spice to your coffee, spice up your fitness routine with Pilates. So those are really some things you can also should be starting to think about Black Friday or Cyber Monday. Now, if you followed me for a while, you know that I am not at all a big believer in service-based businesses doing huge promotions for Black Friday or Cyber Monday. But what you can do is if you have a video library that you can put on sale, if you're offering a teacher training program and you want to sell that early with a discount, they can have Black Friday, Cyber Monday promotions. Maybe you have a membership that you could put on sale for Black Friday or Cyber Monday. Consider offering a special package that you don't normally sell for the season. Okay. Maybe it's a home for the holidays package where college kids or something are home for the holidays, like after Thanksgiving, and you can do like 4-class package or a 5-class package, and they're home for the holidays and they just have like 30 days to use it or 60 days to use it. So you can really do things like this and consider client appreciation gifts, hosting an appreciation event to strengthen client relationships, to keep engagement going throughout the year, throughout the end of the year. Okay, now let's talk a little bit. We did talk a little bit about end of the year bonuses. And I get this question all the time from people, all the time. How can I bonus people? How can I do this? I do wholeheartedly believe that it's important to recognize our staff and appreciate them. I do not believe it always has to be in monetary bonuses. Okay. So the business has to be able to afford the bonus structure. Most of us, as feeling-based people, are people pleasers, and we're also externally validated. And so we want to make other people feel good, and then we want to get the thanks in return, which makes us feel better. And so we want to give bonuses, but sometimes we're like, well, I didn't even pay myself this year. How am I going to give bonuses? So there's other ways to give bonuses besides monetary. A thank you goes a really long way. Public recognition goes a really long way. A gift card to a restaurant or a massage, or if you know someone's really into Harry Potter, maybe you give them a Harry Potter themed Christmas gift or something like that. Those little things go a really, really long way and show your team that you are appreciative of them. And I would let them know, like, unfortunately, the business didn't have the funds for financial bonuses, but I do want you to know how much I appreciate you. And I hope you'll take this as like a little token of my appreciation with a handwritten card. There are really great things that you can do for your team and even for your clients if you want to do some end of the year gifts for them. Okay. So now let's talk about if your business actually has the funds to give financial bonuses. Okay. One way that you can do this is you can tie bonuses to revenue targets. All right. So how does this work? You want to set specific revenue targets for the studio or for specific staff members themselves, okay, based on realistic and achievable goals. So let me give you an example. You may set a target for increasing studio revenue by 10% for the last quarter of the year. And then bonuses are awarded if these targets are met or exceeded. Now, when you set the target, you want to look at your financial reports. So if you know that you need to generate in the last quarter of the year, I don't know, $50,000 to meet all of your expenses. That includes what you pay you, what you pay your team, what you pay out. Everything that goes out, you need $50,000. Okay. Now, do you want to operate on a 10 to 15% profit margin? Okay. So in order to have 10 to 15% profit margin, you have to generate $65,000. So let's say your goal then is you want to hit that $65,000 threshold. So you're like, okay, if we hit $65,000, then I will bonus out XYZ people based on a certain type of calculation. What I like to do in our company is we have a goal and then we have a stretch goal. Okay. So if I hit my profitability at 16,500, I know that anything over that is icing on a cake. So what if I say, okay, our goal is $17,000. And if we hit that goal, everyone in the company gets, I don't know, $100, $200, $500, a percentage of the revenue they generate. There's ways that you can calculate this to make sure that it's mutually beneficial for both the staff member and the company. Okay. We did this in the summer. So we had a summer special that we did, a package that we don't normally sell. We sold an 8-class package that had a 60-day expiration. Our lowest package is 10 classes. So we did a discount on 8 classes and you had to use it within 60 days. We tasked our administrative team with a certain amount of packages that we wanted sold. I think we said 75. So we said, if you sell over 75 packages, each of you will receive $500. If you sell over, I think it was 90 packages, each of you would receive $1,000. So they crushed this goal. They sold 110, I think. So each of them received, so I have three. So each of them received 1,000. I have two full-time, so they each received $1,000 and then the part-time person received 500. Now, we sold this package for $239. And if they sold 110 of them, that meant that we generated over $26,000 in revenue. Okay. Now, even with subtracting $2,500 for that, I still did an extra $23,000 in revenue with this promotion. So it was a win-win-win for everyone. Okay. Another way that you can do a bonus is client retention and attendance bonuses. So, but you can basically do is you can offer bonuses based on the team, the instructor's ability to retain clients and maintain high class attendance. So you can say, instructors who maintain an average class attendance of 80% or higher in the last quarter of the year qualify for a bonus. Okay. So if you know that 75% utilization gets you to your profit goal, and you know this because you've tracked your metrics, you've done the work, you understand your numbers, 80% is profit. So you can say, if you hit 80% attendance, you're going to get an extra, I don't know, $25 for every class that happens in. So if that happens in 10 classes they teach, that's an extra $250. Okay. So, and you could do it per month if you want. So these are great ways to keep people incentivized to keep the attendance in their classes up. My team is always incentivized to do that because they get paid per attendee. So the more people they have in their class, the more money they can generate. Okay. So those are ways that you can start to think about bonuses, performing bonuses. And again, if you have the money to afford the bonuses. One of the things that we do at Pilates in the Grove is we have a fund that we start, or I start at the beginning of the year, for bonuses. So at the end of the year, I've already been saving for it all year. And I move it out of my operational expense each and every month after I reconcile my books. So I don't even see it in my operational expense and I'm not tempted to spend it. Okay. So just to recap what we talked about. Number one, let's just have you start looking at planning for the fall. You should have your whole Q3 plan. So let's make sure we look into September. How are we getting ourselves back on track? And then by September 20th, you should have the end of the year planned out. You should have what you're going to do Black Friday and Cyber Monday. You should have, if you're going to be doing any type of end of the year bonuses, you should have your performance assessments and everything scheduled out so that by December 1st, you're not doing really anything else. Everything is planned. Okay. If anything, you're coming to the CEO Summit that I'm hosting in Miami, Florida in November to fully plan out your 2025 year. I hope to see you there. Okay. You can visit my website for more details on that. But to reiterate what we talked about looking at your team structure. Do you need to bring in more people to cover the influx of clients? You're going to look at your pricing structure again. Does anything there need to be adjusted? You are going to look at your schedule. Are you optimized for utilization and profitability? You are going to look at client retention and re-engaging past clients who may have gone to La La Land over the summer. Those are the things you're going to look at as we come into fall. All right. I really hope you enjoyed some of this. If you have any questions, if you're like, I don't know how to look at numbers and decide on performance bonuses, if you want to look at your numbers to decide if your company can afford performance bonuses, I would invite you to look to schedule a call with me. Okay. I'm going to link up in the show notes how you can schedule a one-on-one call with me, and we can look at your numbers and decide if you have the availability to give out bonus structures and how you can structure those so you can deliver that information to your team. All right. So that is always an option for you to schedule a one-on-one call with me and decide. We can brainstorm together and we can strategize together how that would look, what that would look like, and can you afford to do that? All right. Ladies, until next time, my friends, bye for now.